Welcome, I'm Matthew Phelps, co-author of the Turning to God's Word Bible study, The Letter to the Hebrews, an explanation of the mechanism of our salvation. Today we'll be talking about lesson 15 of our study, which covers the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 11, verses 23 to 31. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hidden for 3 months by his parents, because they saw that the child was beautiful, and they were not afraid of the king's edict. In the past few lessons, and for the coming few lessons, we've been talking about the letter to the Hebrews chapter 11, which is going through the value and the benefit of faith. We're kind of getting the all-star lineup from the history of leading up to Jesus. People who modeled faith, who were able to persevere in the face of difficulties in their lives as a result of faith. And of course, the reason for that is we're being asked to do likewise. The author has told us Jesus Christ gave us this great and amazing gift, and he's trying to encourage and support the people who receive this letter to not give up and to persevere and to keep going. And he's doing so by saying, hey, have faith, trust in God, remember the thing that's been given to you, and stick with it. And hey, all these people did, so you can too. So we're going through a list of really the highlights of the Old Testament. Now we have Moses. Although, of course, it's actually Moses' parents here who get the credit for trusting God and being willing to face consequences and sending their baby away in a basket in a river. But it worked out pretty well for Moses, too. By faith, Moses, when he was grown up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to share ill treatment with the people of God than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. He considered abuse suffered for the Christ greater wealth than the treasures of Egypt, for he looked to the reward. By faith he left Egypt, not being afraid of the anger of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. By faith he kept the Passover and sprinkled the blood, so that the destroyer of the firstborn might not touch them. Moses really gave up a lot for the sake of following God. He could have been adopted by a king and lived as a carefree rich guy for his entire life with a lot of power. A lot of people would make that choice. And he said, nope, I'm an Israelite, God, follow my God. Even when he was raised kind of in a vacuum of what that meant. And his people had been so assimilated into Egypt that there wasn't that clear of an understanding of what that meant. He still said, nope, this is for me. I'm going to do this God thing. I'm going to follow wherever he tells me to go and whatever he tells me to do. And he ended up living, this is probably one of the better known stories. His life was not exactly smooth or easy, but he led his entire people to freedom from oppression in Egypt. By faith, the people crossed the Red Sea as if on dry land, but the Egyptians, when they attempted to do the same, were drowned. So Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt. Pharaoh and his army tried to chase. The Israelites were fine. Pharaoh's army was wiped out. Great act of God, but it would take quite a lot of faith to walk through the middle of a sea and to think that you would be fine. Especially a sea which obviously still had some teeth since it drowned all of Pharaoh's army. Cool. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after they had been encircled for 7 days. By faith, Rahab the harlot did not perish with those who were disobedient, because she had given friendly welcome to the spies. Here's a story about what happens when Joshua leads the people after Moses into the promised land, and they begin to take the promised land by force. Of course, they're not just going to be invited, hey, come in, have the land. They actually had to take it by force when they went in. And on the way, at the beginning of the way in, there was Jericho, great fortress, that they had to overcome in order to get into the promised land. And God delivered it to them. And helpful in that process was one of the citizens of Jericho, the harlot Rahab, who is in the lineage of Jesus Christ, who said, yeah, you know what, I'm going to help you out and not worry about these people as long as you promise to take me into your people. She was willing to give up her current people in favor of the people of God. This has been a summary of Lesson 15 of the Turning to God's Word Bible Study, the letter to the Hebrews, an explanation of the mechanism of our salvation. For more information, Consult our written study or visit our online forums at turningtogodsword.com.